That's awesome, man. And, the last time that we had you on the show, we're breaking down the NHL playoffs. We'll get into hockey talk in a little bit here, but a lot has changed, actually, since probably about a year ago now that we had you on the show. You ended up doing an interview for StarCast 3. Now, sometimes you're on Backstage on Fox Sports 1. That's every Tuesday night at 11, by the way. Check it out. But how is it making that transition and just being back in wrestling again?
I love it. I love the Fox show because everybody at Fox has treated me, impeccably. Kind of got to reconnect with Renee Young, who is my friend from WWE from 6-7 years ago. She's great at what she does. She makes the show super easy to do. And it's fun to get to talk about stuff. It can be a little stressful sometimes. I think people get mad a lot based on what I say, but Fox is stoked. So it's nice to be able to get to talk about wrestling without people having a preconceived notion of what I'm supposed to say or whatever. I literally just watch the shows and I get to comment on them. It's pretty relaxed.
Well, it is kind of a blessing that you're able to be yourself, whether people enjoy that or not. I mean, the fact that you don't really read from a script, that you get to be yourself still, that's definitely a cool thing. And I have to ask the question. Obviously, you're talking about wrestling again. You're doing interviews and you're around wrestling fans. You're in that environment again. I mean, for me, when I retired from football, I said I would never go back because I was just over it. But the more I analyze it, the more I break it down, the more a part of me thinks, you know what, this sport's not so bad, and I kind of miss it a little bit. Do you find yourself when you do these shows or when you're around wrestling fans do you kind of miss being back in the ring?
I don't necessarily miss being back in the ring, but I do understand. I'm kind of in the same boat as you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You might not want to put a Bears sweater back on and throw a helmet on, but being around and being able to talk about it. Last Tuesday, a couple days ago on WWE Backstage, they just dropped this in my lap. They're like, "Oh, we're going to Ricky Steamboat on. Is it cool if we interview him?" And I got a history with Ricky, so it was cool to be able to talk about that. I think my love for certain aspects of the business, I think you can see it. I think you can see it peek out through the cracks.
Yeah.
So. It definitely, with all these things going on, like Mike Tyson putting his gloves back on, watching The Last Dance on ESPN, man, I'm kind of getting itchy.
Well, and we're going to talk about The Last Dance here in a second. But I want to touch on, obviously you got guys like Karrion Kross now and Scarlett. You have Kip Sabian and Penelope Ford in AEW. You have these couples that are only couples in the ring, but also out of the ring as well. When you talk about your wife, April, or as wrestling fans know her as AJ Lee, have you ever had conversations of what you guys would do for a dream storyline or a dream gimmick if you ever did get back in the ring again?
No. That's never happened.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, she retired because of her neck. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She's a tiny little thing, and taking a whole bunch of bumps, year round. It messed up her neck. So, if she was to come back, I don't know if she would be able to do the physical stuff anymore.
Gotcha. So, yeah, you actually mentioned Last Dance a little bit, and obviously